This is the Average to Savage podcast with Paul Guarino. Everyone and anyone, athletes, celebs, and much more.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Average Savage podcast. Our special guest today is Teofimo Lopez. Teofimo, how's it going?
How's it going? Man, it's going great. You know what I'm saying? I'm having a great time, man, especially getting to like finally chop it up with you. I know we spoke about doing something I don't know whether it was a couple months ago or a year ago or so, but it's definitely good to finally be
Yeah,
here
I
now with you.
appreciate it because, a lot of people, some people say yes and you came through, so it's cool. Yeah, we actually met at, it was Jamel Herring's fight in 2023, November. And then I saw you in Miami last June. And you were like, yo, you live down here? And I was like, no, I'm from Connecticut. I was just here because my guy was fighting. So it was funny. Small world. You know how boxing is.
Nice. Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, we were chopping a little bit about it, prior to this. So I think, yeah, man, but that's what I love about the sport. I love about the sport is that it may seem like a major sport across the world, which it is. However, when it comes to connections and the community, it's very
Yeah.
tight and small.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, and the takeover. It's funny
so
because like I got into boxing and like first when I started my brand, it was just apparel, and I'm from Connecticut, like I said. So Chad Dawson's the town over for me, and I just hit him up. It was 2012 when he was still world champion, and he was just glad to wear my stuff, and it was cool, and we're friends ever since. And he trains one of my guys now and everything. So it's crazy how it's cool to see too. Like because I think people think athletes are not approachable sometimes or like not humans or whatnot. And yeah,
some are though.
but not
Some are.
approachable.
Yeah, some are not a pro. Even me, like I'll come and try to talk to another fighter, and they just don't give me that same
Well,
energy.
you probably want to fight them or something.
No, no. Sometimes they're not even in my weight class.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, anyways, yeah. How did you get started in boxing?
How did I start boxing? That's a good question, man. Listen, well, before I started boxing, I did taekwondo, and that was my father got me in there into taekwondo at like 2 years old, from like 2 to 4, and then from 4 to 5, I did like one season of soccer, and I was terrible at soccer. Well, with the footwork I have today, I think I don't know. It's just something about the ball when it's between my feet. I just don't know what to do. So fast forward, my dad would always train. He would, even back in New York, he used to take me to Gleason's, to Red Hook. He used to take me to all these other places while he was trying to fight, and train. He would box. And, because my father was more of a street fighter. He always loved to fight people outside. So his cousin and family members would always tell him, yo, why don't you just try boxing? Then we came to South Florida. And by that time, I'm touching almost 7 years old. But I guess from the years that my dad brought me from in New York to like even here in South Florida, I was watching a lot and I was just observing. And I think that I always wanted to try it. He never wanted me to do it. And then one day came, my father was at that time he was a limousine driver, and he told the coach at that time, Milton LaCroix, he told him, hey, look, can you watch my son while I go park the limo, and then we could talk about you training me and stuff, and what's the schedule like. So my dad puts me somewhere to sit down, and the trainer, Milton being who he is, he sees my father. My father's already in his late 20s. And usually by that time, if you want to box and do
Yeah.
stuff, that's kind of late. And my father, anyways, comes back 5-10 minutes later. But Milton goes and tells me prior to my father coming, he says, hey, man, look, put on some boxing gloves. Go get some gloves right now. So I go. I said, fuck, finally. Okay, cool. I'm so excited. Put on some boxing gloves. They're 6 ounces. And I go in and I'm doing mitt work with him. And by the time my father comes back from parking the limousine, about like 5-10 minutes later, my father comes back and he sees me doing mitts with Milton. He's like, whoa, what's going on here? So Milton tells him, yo, check this shit out. And I check this stuff out. And next thing you know, I'm throwing 2-3 combinations, pull back, slip, roll, everything. And I think just from that moment on, I think that's when everything just sparked. And they saw potential in me. And then within a few days later, almost by next week, they already had me sparring kids that already had like 10 plus amateur fights. I was getting my butt handed to. However, that's the only way you learn. So definitely was great, from that start on, and just never quit
Yeah,
after
for
that.
sure. Well, yeah, you could talk. We're uncensored here. You could talk like however you want. By the way, what?
Oh, thank you. Well,
Wait,
yeah.
what? So what age was that? You said.
I would say like I was 6.5 going on almost
Gotcha. And
7.
then, like towards that point, did you after that did you play any other sports, or you just focus on boxing?
I just focus on boxing. I think the only thing I will probably do is I'll play like football with my
Yeah.
friends and stuff. Go to the park, you know what I mean, obviously, and then like rough tackle, do a little bit of basketball at the same time, just to keep myself productive. However, I don't know. It was just something about the sport.
Yeah.
Um, and even after that, though, like I missed something though. I missed actually something. I remember I got cut right here. I got like this big cut right here
Hmm.
from boxing. It's a big gash, and it's from a double M bag. And I actually got I forget how many stitches. I don't know if it was like 43 stitches or whatever the case be. It was a lot of stitches, and I got cut from the double M bag because they
Hmm.
had the hooks. So a double M bag, you know what a
Yeah.
double M bag is,
Yeah.
right, Paul? All right, but for those that don't know what a double M bag is, it's two strings that are hooked on, one from the top, one from the bottom on the floor, and then there's a ball, and it's basically known for reaction. Every time you hit it, it'll move. All right, so there was hooks on there, and they didn't tape it. I remember when I was 6 years old. At that time, I jumped and I wanted to throw a hook at it, and the hook hooked me, basically, and it ripped my whole skin. It gave me a clean cut. Thankfully, it didn't get my main artery and stuff like that. It didn't get none of these parts, and I think that kind of gave blood to my sport of boxing
Yeah.
early. So
Yeah. For sure.
I think that's why. I think that's why I'm really good at what I
That was
do.
my next question. When did you know? Like, at what age were like, or either you knew you were good, or like you knew you could go pro?
I knew I could go pro when my father started me. He started me spar. He started having me to spar with pros at 13
Mm.
years young. I was
Yeah.
already sparring with 13-year-olds. My dad threw me in with the
Yeah.
sharks, bro, like early. And but obviously light dudes, but they're still pros. And I think I knew I had it in me as a pro more than an amateur because of my style and the way I was able to um carry myself going the rounds with these champions or contenders or challengers while I was coming up the ranks. My confidence, though, of believing I could be everything and anything was at 17.
What happened? What happened then?
I won 3 U.S. major national tournaments in the U.S. I won the National Golden Gloves. I won Outstanding Male Boxer for the Olympic qualifiers to go to the Olympic trials. And then I swept everybody in the U.S. Olympic trials. Then after that, we went on to the Olympic Games in Rio. But I believe that that's when everything kind of kick-started for me. I didn't lose. I think I did like 26 or 27 fights. I was 27-0 that whole year in
Yeah.
2015.
What
I didn't lose one
what
fight.
happened with the? Because I don't know the full story on it. Like, what happened? How did you end up representing Honduras versus like the U.S.?
Well, it's
Yeah.
boxing, and and when I mean they, it's USA Boxing. Yeah, I said it. It's USA Boxing, and this is the reason why we don't see a gold medal today in USA Boxing. Because they want you to, pipe up, shut up, and like do what they want you to do. And it doesn't work that way. I mean, they make the rules, right? Shouldn't they follow their own rules as we should too, right? You would think so. My mom's telling me to be quiet. Mom, they ain't win a gold medal. I don't know why they still funding they ass, but you know what? It's for the next
All right, we'll spin
generation.
this around. So, what was it like to represent Honduras? Who's your family?
No, but look, I'm gonna tell you something. You know what's messed up is that I earned a shot in the spot to represent Team USA in the Olympic trials in the Olympic Games for 2016 Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. And what the problem was that they had apparently the World Series of Boxing going on, and the guy that was competing for them at that time was Carlos Balderas, because he qualified in the sense of he got to Team USA. I think 2 tournaments before me for the USA Nationals. He got, I think it was either 1 tournament before me or 2 tournaments before me before I got into Team USA. Nevertheless, they traveled him. They brought him to Pan Am's. He lost against Lindolfo, who's fighting this Saturday. He lost to Lindolfo from Mexico. And then they kept using him for the World Series of Boxing. They, after the season was over, he finished at fourth place. He finished at fourth place. So the only way that they were using the World Series of Boxing at that time, they were using that as a qualifier to get your Olympic berth ticket to be in the Olympic Games. So that was another way to get in there, because you're fighting all the other countries. Cuba and Azerbaijan in my weight class, which was 60 kilos, and I'm not talking about coke, I'm talking about the kilograms of a weight class. So when they were in that sense of that weight class, it was Cuba and Azerbaijan that finished first and second for the World Series of Boxing. So they were taking the top 2 of every weight class for Olympic berth. By doing so, Cuba and Azerbaijan made it to the Olympic berth. They got their slot. It was, I think, after that was Russia and USA. USA being Carlos Balderas. And I know it's a little long story, but I'm trying to break it down the best way I can. My father he knows how to do it better. Anyways, they go into, usually when you qualify, right? In the amateurs, you're not allowed to go to another tournament that's a qualifying an event, like an Olympic qualifier. You can't go to another one because you have to give everybody the chance to get one, right? To get the option to get an Olympic berth. AIBA, and all those that play the parties allowed Cuba and Azerbaijan to go to the World Championships, which was another qualifier event for the Olympics and another Olympic berth. And guess what place they finished at?
First
and second. So what they did, because the World Series of Boxing was making money, AIBA was making money off these fighters. So what they did, they brought in, instead of now 2 guys from that World Series of Boxing, now they were able to bring number 3 and number 4, as they brought them down in the ranking or up in the ranking and brought them as number 1 and number 2. So that's how Carlos Balderas was able to qualify, was by lifting him up. Basically, like, he got an email that he got qualified because Cuba and Azerbaijan won again. And by doing so, that ruined everybody's plans in my weight class. And I think it was the first time since 1904 that my weight class I think, what is it? It was my weight class that we qualified and we wouldn't represent our own country. When Team USA, what they were supposed to do, just like Cuba does, is that even if Cuba has their qualifiers, Olympic berth, they'll still do a box off. They'll still do a box off. Team USA, since they thought they already got one in the bag, what's the point of risking it? They didn't want to do a box off between me and Carlos Balderas.
Good.
And even though I won the Olympic trials, they gave me just a medal that said Olympic trials winner. And then they brought up Carlos Balderas with the rest of the Team USA that won that night, with a duffel bag and a jacket and everything. And I cried my ass back to the hotel. Because everything that you ever wanted to. And so my father said, "No, we're not gonna stop. We're gonna go, and I'm gonna see if I can get you a dual citizenship. You're Honduran and Spain. You're from Spain as well." I had other countries that wanted me. I had Russia that wanted me, Puerto Rico that wanted me, just to name a few. However, we just decided to go with Honduras, and I had to requalify, and I had to fight more times so that way I could to get to the Olympics again, to the Olympic Games.
That's crazy.
But yeah.
Do you want? All right. Do you like? Yeah.
But you know something? Where's Carlos Balderas now?
I was just about to ask.
Where that fool at now? I don't know.
I know it'd
I
be
don't know.
pointless, but is that someone you would want to fight just cuz?
Who cares? Who cares? Ain't nobody care about him. Nobody care. Hey, listen, man. You know what? They did me wrong. You know what I'm saying? But God
Yeah,
got me
things
right.
happen for a
So
reason, right?
that's all that matters.
Uh,
It just builds character, man. Y'all don't understand. I've been going through this whole situation with politics in the sport of boxing since the amateurs. It didn't stop when we beat Lomachenko and they disputed my undisputed. They didn't stop it when I beat Josh Taylor. I mean, when I beat the undisputed undefeated fighter. I mean, it's just. I guess I'm just one of those guys that are unluckily
yeah,
lucky to do what they
for
do.
sure. What did it mean to you to represent Honduras, which is in your bloodline?
You know what? It meant a lot though. You know why? Because they actually they don't have many talents. Truthfully they do, but in different sports. And for me to be somewhat of an anchor to a sport for them of boxing and kind of opening their eyes a little bit. It felt great, you know. My father was the head coach of the team of Honduras, and it was just it's an honor, you know. I can't even complain. I wouldn't have been able to experience the Olympic dream, you know, if Honduras didn't just have their arms
Right.
open for us, you know. And we had to obviously do our part. However, nevertheless, you know, I think that I could say that I was an Olympian for the rest of my life and pass that on to my kids, you know, and that's something that's something I could really appreciate from them. Most importantly,
Yeah,
you
no,
know.
definitely. Now going into your pro career, I know we touched on it a little bit. I know you signed with Top Rank right after that. Was there like a decision process with other promoters, like who you had picked from?
Yeah, yeah, there were definitely other ones in the mix at that time. You know, Oscar. I'll tell you one thing though. Oscar De La Hoya didn't was not interested at all. Golden
You got
Boy
a
was
chip on
not
your shoulder,
interested.
huh?
You know something? It's competition. I don't know why, but you know, like Oscar says that he's still a fighter, even though he's a promoter. But it's definitely this is the only way we keep moving forward. Who else? Who else? You gotta keep tabs on everybody. You know,
Yeah, no, for sure.
keep tabs on everybody. I ain't gonna forget. I might forgive you, but I ain't gonna
Yeah,
forget you. So Um, well, who else? It was Rock Nation. Then we had Lou DiBella. We had other small promoters and companies that was interested at the time. I think Gary Russell and his father and the Russell family they wanted us to speak with Al Heyman. We wasn't too sure about that at the moment. And then Top Rank, I think it just had they had good plans. You know, definitely my opener and pro debut would be with Manny Pacquiao on the undercard. You know, I think that was awesome. And then, you know, it was pretty awesome from that point on. You know, and they did a good job. I was mostly excited for the network deal they did with ESPN.
yeah,
That was great. And that's when I started branching out into the
yeah,
takeover.
yeah. No, for sure. I think
Yeah.
a lot of boxers don't promote themselves well, and they should take notes on how you do it as well. And even like you had the opportunities, and even I see it because I'm like I come from the sports marketing world, and like you get sponsors and things like that. I see people with like no sponsors and their main events on ESPN or Showtime or Amazon Prime or whatnot. And it's crazy to me. So it only took
Exactly,
you
bro.
14 fights to get to a world title. What did that like mean to you to come up that fast?
It meant a lot. It meant a lot, honestly. When I became pro and everything, I knew that I was finally home
Yeah,
to me. Stylistically, as a fighter, I just knew I was finally in my comfort zone of a fighter, as a fighter, and being going into my 14th pro fight and going and fighting the world champion at that time of Richard Comey and the IBF world champion, and honestly one of the hardest punchers at that weight class. And in
yeah,
Madison Square Garden, you know, that was a blessing, you know, and what does it felt like? It's so surreal. I think even to this day, nothing tops
yeah.
that.
First one.
You know, Times Square is just another anchor or another thing that I can add on
Yeah,
my shelf. However, nothing will ever top the one night that I had right there and then. You know, and then no one's gonna do it like us. I don't think anybody will do it like us, winning world titles like that. It's not easy getting up there, but we had to challenge the matchmakers as well. The matchmakers didn't make it easy for me. After I think after my first fight or second fight, they started putting me with
Yeah,
top dudes. And but a lot of people don't realize that I was fighting. I think like 4 or 5 of my first fights were like in Telemundo and
yeah,
Univision. They were like in small little events, but it was cool. You know, with Totico and the family, All Star Boxing. I think that was
yeah.
awesome.
No, for sure. Well, but right after you fought Richard, I mean, you fought Lomachenko, so you wouldn't consider that one bigger, bigger.
No, no. Even though I'm mostly known more for the
Yeah,
Loma fight, however, that was because all the parties decided to truthfully promote the
yeah.
damn fight, and it was during
Gotcha.
COVID times. You know, the 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 reason why to me though is because we didn't
Yeah,
have the
yeah, yeah.
fans. You know, we didn't have an audience. We didn't have that magnitude of the
Yeah, how
experience
was that? Was that
inside
that
where
fight week
people
was
get
weird,
to.
huh? Because like you guys like no like were media people there? I don't even remember.
Some were
Yeah,
allowed, but by
yeah,
selective by like a
yeah,
selection few, depending on ESPN and Top Rank, they chose who they wanted to
yeah.
be there that night. You know, obviously one of them being Mike Combinger, I think he was there. But a few parties for sure. But it was very tight space. I think we probably had no more than like 200 people in that stage in that moment in that night, and most of them, about half of the staff was from ESPN
Yeah.
alone. So
Yeah, that's crazy. Didn't
yeah,
even think of that because I remember I was watching it.
it's
I was
hard.
watching it at a bar. Yeah, I
It
guess I
was
was
hard.
outside somehow. But
What people don't know is like it
yeah, no,
was
yeah,
hard, and what
yeah,
I mean by it was hard. It was hard to stay focused when it's so
yeah, and to get
quiet.
like excited and amped up too. It must have been weird.
Oh my goodness, it was
Yeah,
extremely tough. However, it's what I noticed was that they put so much investing because I wasn't supposed to win that
yeah,
night, and it was across the world. Literally, it was across the world, and ESPN initiated it that way because I remember Loma being who he is. He didn't want to do any more interviews. He didn't want to do no shout outs. He didn't want to do anything to like promote the fight
mhm,
week. And I remember they had me do like skits, in Spanish and then in English, and all the outlets. Some were from France, some were from France, some were from like the Asian, um how can I say, like the you had Japan, China, you had those that I was doing into like shout outs for to Don't Miss the Fight. We had India, we had pretty much just all across the board. And I was like, oh wow, we got India coming and watch this shit. That's cool. This that. And um it let me know that this is a big fight. But I I remember the night before my fight, I before fighting Lomachenko, I remember just walking around to give out my shirts to the staff members. And remind you, it's in October, so breast cancer awareness, and I remember sitting with the ESPN production team, and Joe Tessitore was there, and they were watching like the replays of the clips of the weigh-in, and then me and Loma, the build-up and what they're gonna promote for tomorrow, so everybody can see it. And I remember sitting there. I gave him a shirt, and I'm, walking around, and I remember Joe Tessitore. He says, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Yeah." He's like, "Do you not know you're about to fight the best fighter in the world, and you're over here talking with us?" And I said, "Yeah." I was like, I mean, to you guys, he is, and that was pretty much it. But like, he was just like, this is crazy, But I didn't see it that way. I didn't see it that it was the biggest fight. I saw it as like, I'm gonna show y'all how to beat
yeah,
Lomachenko. Yeah, it was cool. Cool
that's
times. Cool
crazy.
times.
Um, do
Yeah.
you want to run it back with George Gambosis, and if so, why haven't you?
I don't think the masses or anyone from the boxing community is gonna allow that to happen.
Politics?
You know it. You know it.
All right.
Well, yeah, because it only makes me look best
Yeah,
when I beat him. Truthfully, at a healthy state. So that's really what's gonna
yeah.
do. And right now they just
No, I was
hmm?
gonna say basically that's how he made his career off beating you, essentially.
Yeah, and they'll always use that. They'll always use the flash knockdown in the first round. They won't ever replay the 10th round when I dropped them. They won't ever do a lot of certain things, but I don't care. God gave me back everything that I lost in the
Yeah,
same arena, and that's what I said when I remember in the corner after they gave him the decision. Um, I remember going on top of my corner on the ropes, and I sat on there and I said, "God giveth, God taketh. Blessed be the name of the Lord." That was in the theater in Madison Square Garden, and 2 years later, on the 100th year anniversary of the Ring magazine, I got all my belts back,
yeah,
technically, in a new weight class in the same arena. You know, whatever he is, I mean, they gave him everything that I should have had, but my time will come when it's right. So my story's different.
yeah.
My story's
Just looking
different.
at box right? Yeah, didn't you? So technically you never won the WBC belt.
Nah, that's what they say.
Yeah, because wasn't it on the line though in one of your fights, but it's not listed, or am I tripping?
No, yeah, it's not listed because Mauricio and everybody else took it off.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
because they so Canelo, when I think he was supposed to fight either Charlo brother, one of the Charlo brothers and stuff, they ended up elevating him to Super WBC World Champion, which is also known as the franchise.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Same thing they did for me. Same thing they did for me was with Lomachenko. It was the Super WBC belt, but
Gotcha.
people don't claim that as a belt, but they claim the interim as a world title belt. It's politics, brother. I'm gonna tell you, Paul. It's
Yeah,
politics. You being a manager, you should know best. It's just
yeah,
I wasn't supposed to win against Lomachenko that night. Had I
yeah,
lost, and everybody got what they wanted from that, they would have told Devin Haney, shut the f up. You're the interim. We'll boost you to regular, but Loma is the undisputed, rightfully so, world champion. You know, and
yeah, yeah. For sure.
yeah. It's that's why my family tells me, my mother, my father, they tell me too. They tell me like play nice with these people and stuff like that. But it's like this is war,
Yeah,
and a lot of the people in the business are cheaters. They
mhm,
they cheat.
yeah,
I can't respect or be nice with you when I know you cheat. You can't just take the defeat. You can't. I had to take my loss even when I had all the rightful injuries and illness. I have paperwork, filed, everything, plain blank. And people
yeah,
won't ever give me the benefit of the doubt. So why should I give anybody else?
yeah, yeah, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? But it makes you thick skinned.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I think probably all the things that help happen to you help motivate you to who you are now and the fighter you are now, and you're a two-time undisputed champion and all that good stuff. And yeah,
God
so
bless you.
coming up, yeah, so coming up next with your fight on May 2nd versus Arnold Barbosa Jr. It's in the middle of Times Square, which is insanely crazy cool. Um, what do you expect going into this fight, and what do you think of the stage?
The stage is awesome. It's great.
Yeah,
It doesn't get bigger than this for now. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? And I'm training very hard for it for that reason, more than ever. The thing is, it's all about just being there mentally strong for that night, because at the end of it all, I understand that there's people out there that definitely want to take my Ring magazine. They want to take everything that I have because, I respect Paco, you know, when he was rightfully the chairman and president of the WBO. I like Gustavo, or at least I'm trying to like him. However, there's so many people in play that I know don't want to see Teofimo have his hand raised that night. And fuck them. I don't care what they feel like. You know,
Yeah, I
I'm
gotcha.
more focused on the victory and then just being humble about it, I guess, because the win alone is gonna speak for itself, right? Right, Paul.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
You guys don't understand. I've been talking to myself and every day, every night, even with my videographer here, Chris. I tell him, man, I just gotta make sure I'm calm after I win because there's a
Yeah,
lot of stuff I want to say.
you want to crash out?
However, the win alone is gonna speak for itself. And if I'm gonna be someone that I know I can be as an inspiration to the sport, I can't do it out of anger or out of pain. Got to do it out of just being dope, just being awesome, you know.
Yeah. What do you think the biggest misconception people have about you as a fighter, as a person?
I'm a clown and I'm arrogant. I think so, and I think that it's the biggest misconception is that they don't know me. They don't take the time to know me. If you got to really know me, you'd be like, why do they not like you?
Yeah,
And
because even
hmm?
to be real with you, like even when I see the headlines and people are talking shit about you, like personality, like off outside the ring, and I'm just like, I met Tio a few times, and he was like super nice guy, and we had a good conversation. So that's why it's kind of weird to me sometimes when I see stuff. So, but obviously, you got to not believe everything you see on the media as well.
Yeah, no, it's a good way to put it out there. It's just that when you're the best, they hate. When you're great,
Yeah,
they hate. Everything that I did, even if they said I wasn't undisputed, I still God gave me something else to use as leverage. Became a two-time undisputed, two-time lineal. Let's just take away the undisputed parts, right? Because nobody believes in me and that. So, but I could care less. I did it. However,
yeah,
when we really want to tap into something, they say Terrence Crawford is the best pound for pound fighter in the world, but it took him to get two linear world titles in two weight divisions all the way to 36 years old to win them. You know how long
mm.
it took me?
Well, I think,
It took me it
yeah,
took me to get two linear Ring Magazine world titles in two weight classes by the time I was 25. That means I did it
yeah,
like him, but 11 years earlier,
yeah.
and that is a
But
fact.
I think it goes back to what I was telling you before about your marketing, because like a lot of boxers don't market themselves in general, and I think that's probably one reason why you got to where you are faster than other people. Yeah.
And what I don't understand is like I'm even seeing like streamers right now, and they talk about, but I'll fight you in boxing and stuff, and they think it's easy. They think it's
Yeah.
easy, and it sucks because I blame the fighters today. I do, even the ones that have the name. I blame them because it's more of like a price now, and I get it, but you just gotta fight, man. I thought that that's the way I was gonna make it was by just fighting the best and the rest will come. But that never really came to play. When I beat Lomachenko, you know what Top Rank offered me? So I went from 1.3. It's all right, man. That was in the past. It was 1.3. It was 1.3 when I fought Loma, right? And then
Mhm.
after I beat Loma and became undisputed, which ESPN announced, right? Which I could use them for defamation for that and sue them, right? Truthfully, I can because Wikipedia has me as a unified, not an undisputed.
Yeah.
Okay, so I could sue them because Top Rank, all of them. But we're not gonna do that. We're gonna move on and find another way to do stuff. However, when it came to it, when they wanted me to fight Cambosos, it was for 1.2 million. So instead of getting a raise, I actually got demoted by 100K
Yeah.
for beating Lomachenko, and that's why we went into the purse bids and everything with Triller. And then that was another big mistake because Triller moved my date from June 5th on to June 19th. I got COVID because they moved the date. A lot of shit happened, man. And I remember just training a whole year for one guy when I had the power the whole time. All I had to do was drop the belt, and there goes everybody's pieces. but I had that underdog mentality. Underdog mentality.
Yeah, for sure. Last few, because I don't want to keep I don't want to keep you long. What motivates you more, chasing legacy or proving people wrong?
I don't care about proving people wrong. I like proving myself right.
All right, I like that.
Yeah. What's the point? People don't know. People don't even do it. I got I
Yeah,
got I got young fighters that want to be a world champion but don't even outwork me. And I already got it.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it ain't about proving them wrong. It's about proving myself right. And chasing legacy, I already did that. So what am I really chasing now? Um,
No,
what am I really chasing now? I guess to leave a good anchor before I depart from this world, whenever that kind of time be. So I guess leaving a good anchor of inspiration.
how many more times do you want to fight?
As many times as God gives me. That's up to him.
You're not.
Every God is my matchmaker. God is my savior. God is my way to many things. God has gifted me and has granted me more blessings that the masses and the call them the Illuminati's and all them they all know and they're aware of. You know what I'm saying? They're all
Yeah,
aware of it. They're all aware that God is on my side and it's what I do with it. So I pray every day for those reasons that I don't be misled or misconduct of the blessings that I'm receiving. You know, I'm fired
yeah,
up.
for sure.
Don't get me wrong, I'm fired up because it's a shame that, we talk about all these beliefs and stuff, but no one is really, at least from my point of view, no one's putting in the work and act.
Hmm.
At least to me. I have yet to
Yeah,
see a world champion fighter not be supported by some type of masses.
yeah,
The toughest part of doing all this is when you do it by yourself, truthfully. Um,
yeah,
and not being, they're watching. You kind of get everybody to watch and stay there to see you, whether they want to see you win or lose. Um, but that's a privilege. That's a blessing. However, I think I think what I really want to be known for though is just one, never quit, and then secondly, to inspire what you're gonna leave behind from all this, because all my accolades will be cool and stuff, but it's not gonna be remembered. What's gonna be remembered is the things that I did for the people out here in this world. I have
yeah,
a
for
I have
sure.
a quote, Paul. I have a quote. It says, "You don't win the people with the world. You don't win the people with the world. You win the world with the people."
All right, I like that.
Yeah.
All right, couple of fun ones. Like, what do you like doing outside of boxing?
Outside of boxing, what I like to do. Um, to be real, I like to journal. I like to meditate. I like to play basketball. I love playing football when I have the time to. You know what I'm saying? I love watching movies. I like going out by myself, taking myself out to movies and pretty much taking myself out to dinners. But my main thing is spending time with my son. If there's anything that I could get out of all of this, and I have pled to God for that. It's just that I not just spend time with my son, but I have him 24/7, 365. Like I have my boy everywhere I go. When people see me, they say, "Where's your father at?" That's what I'm looking forward to having with my son. That when they see my son,
Yeah,
they say, "Where's your dad at?" Or vice versa. When they see me, "How's your son?" Or they see my baby right there. Um,
yeah,
that
for
that's
sure. That's dope.
that's that's um that's something nobody else could buy or anything. I mean, is that kid right there. I love him. I miss him so much, Paul.
Yeah,
I miss him so much, man. People hurt. People are hurtful.
yeah, for sure.
They just
You
waiting.
see,
They just waiting for my money so they can keep cashing in. They're just waiting,
oh,
man. My family's like,
gotcha.
oh my gosh. You know something? I do this. You can't tell me how to do my job. I do this. At the end, I
Yeah.
just let me go out there and be me. Like let me go out there and fight. Let me go out there and talk what I gotta talk. I've sat down with these people. I've interacted with these demons and evil spirits. I've done these things already. Like people call me crazy. I don't care. It's I've already overcame them. They know me better than anybody. And they understand that I'm gonna be me to the till I die.
Yeah. All right. Last one. What's your favorite cheat meal?
My favorite cheat meal. My favorite cheat meal. It used to be sushi, but not anymore. Not anymore. Not sushi. Um, Favorite cheat meal. Oh, croquetas de jamón.
All right.
Croquetas de
Are you a
jamón
pizza
con
guy?
un café con leche. That's that Cuban stuff. Que hola, hacer it.
All right. Are you a pizza guy?
Am I a pizza guy?
Yeah.
Um, Depends what pizza we're talking about.
Well, I know it's not. I know it's not in Florida.
Nah, the pizza over here ain't it. You know what I'm saying?
You ever been to Connecticut before?
Yeah, I've been to Connecticut. ESPN's headquarters is over there.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
I like it
So
though.
we got the best
It's,
pizza over in New York.
yeah.
Yeah.
How
But
long was you in Connecticut for?
I'm born and raised. I'm still in Connecticut.
Wow. Hey, you know what though? I
Yeah.
remember when I was there, like the greenery, everything. It was beautiful.
You were in upstate Connecticut.
Oh, okay, okay. But it was beautiful just passing by, getting
Yeah.
through there and everything. That was really nice. I mean, I love greenery and stuff, and that's all about me, like
Yeah.
nature. So that's another thing. But as far as like pizza goes, I mean, me as a Brooklyn kid as well, I'm just gonna go for that. You know what I'm saying? I like the brick oven type pizza.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I
Definitely a
gotcha.
nice cheese or a pepperoni. Sometimes, depending how I'm feeling, I might do a like an Italian version of it. So like a sausage and all that. So
Yeah, for
yeah.
sure. All right. Well, I appreciate you coming on, and could you let the listeners know where they can follow you at?
Damn. You know, you're the only one in like years that have said this. Like, let everybody know, you know what I'm saying, where to follow you. All right, guys. If you want to follow the crazy Teofimo the Takeover, listen, you follow me at Teofimo Lopez and all my social media accounts. I even got a TikTok now. You can follow me at Teofimo the Takeover on TikTok. I just opened one kind of like 2 weeks ago. So that's been booming. Mhm. I appreciate
Mm.
everybody. Thank you for the love and support. We fight May 2nd, Times Square Takeover against the undefeated Arnold Barboza Jr. for my WBO Super World title and Ring Magazine World title at the Junior Welterweight division at 140 pounds. It's going to be a great explosive night of fights. We have Devin Haney, the Dream, coming back against Jose Ramirez. And we also got Brian Garcia with the finale coming back after a whole year against Rolando Romero, a.k.a. Rolly.